Checker Pro Joe here with my friend Bobby Crowder. He's the family plumber in Surprise, Arizona. Hey, Bobby, how you doing, pal?
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We get questions here all the time. A question's crossed my desk again. This comes up all the time. Why does my toilet keep running? We flush the toilet, and I know what's supposed to happen because I'm a quasi plumber, and I'm kind of joking around. I am not a licensed plumber, but I do know when I push the lever down, it will lift up the flapper. Okay. And then the water from the tank will flow into the bottom of the toilet, the base of the toilet, and it will basically allow the water to push the waste out. And then the flapper closes and then the tank fills again. But sometimes it continues to run, or it'll run like a minute after, it'll go off and on.
So, thanks for having me on again here, Joe. But I get it a lot. So your toilet's running. Well, you better go catch it. I'm kidding. No pun intended. That's just kind of a bad joke for us. But here's this. There's several things. So we got of course your flapper, the most common, right? But you also have your flush valve, your fill valve. So there is some more complicated issues we can get into, but then I'd probably throw everybody off. They probably wouldn't be like, what's that mean? So let's just do the three basics: fill valve, flush valve, flapper. So flapper, of course, everything's about 5 years inside a toilet tank. So you should start thinking about, especially the flapper, 5 years, the fill valve about 5 years, and the flush valve, that's usually lifetime of the toilet, but that thing can leak or crack, or the fill tube can crack, and that's where you're getting your water, your leak from. So first thing to do is check your flapper, make sure it's not warped, soggy, like the rubber's deteriorated. I would just recommend replacing it every 5 years anyways, just this way you can kind of save water waste. The flush valve, the center tube where the flapper sits on, that the bushing can go bad and start leaking through there. Your fill tube that's right in the middle, that could be cracked and it's leaking from there. Go to the fill valve. The fill valve is either on or off. That's just point. So if it's a constant flow, okay, you've got a bad fill valve. You can replace like the little diaphragm that's inside the fill valve, stuff like that. But after about 5 years, let's go ahead and replace the whole thing. That's probably your best bet. 5 years on the flap for 5 years on the fill valve. Flush valve just depends on if it's cracked or not. But those are your three main reasons a toilet would be running.
Yeah, and some of these things really can be handled by the homeowner if you want to. I mean, it's call Bobby out if you'd like, which is fine, but if it's just a flapper, you really can't go wrong by replacing it. You're not going to damage anything. If it continues to leak because you thought it was the flapper, but it's not, it's only going to cost you $5, by the way, to put the flapper in. No big deal. But sometimes people will do it themselves, and after they've replaced a number of parts, the thing is still running, so they have to call you out.
Yeah, exactly. And when they can't figure it out, I get a lot of customers like, oh, I do a lot of stuff, but when it comes to plumbing and water, they kind of stay away from it. But you got to keep in mind, a lot of people are just used to the flapper that comes up and comes back down. There's different flappers, or the cylinder rings and stuff like that those are a little bit more difficult to get off. But, if you call me up and stuff, I can kind of help you out and see what we can do from there. But, there is different cylinders, flappers for the toilet. So, and everything's getting a little different nowadays. It's not just standard flapper anymore. So everything's kind of advancing just to keep the wastewater low. Like our toilets are now 1.28s. I used to love the 1.6s. But now those are becoming obsolete, and now we're down to 1.28s. So I'm sure we're going to keep going, just kind of conserve water, which we're okay with.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, the technology is changing. Our plumbing expert, Bobby Crowder, the family plumber, all of his information, including a link to his website to get a hold of him, is located in the description of this podcast for all your plumbing needs. Get a hold of my buddy, Bobby. Thanks, pal.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again.